Hello and welcome to TransForm Tuesday. I'm Dave McCormick, VP of Products and Services here at Alpha Software. And today we have something special for you today. It has to do with the brand new version of Alpha TransForm. So let me skip down here through my slide deck and we'll get to it. Also today is also a Q&A session as it always is. So feel free to type any questions you may have into the questions box of the GoToWebinar control panel. And furthermore, if you have questions that happen outside of these meetings, by all means, you can send your questions or any issues you have to tfservice, as in transform service, at alphasoftware.com. Today, I'm also joined by Sarah Mitchell, who's in charge of our documentation department and has put together some really great documentation for our Spring 2020 Preview Edition. So you're probably asking, what is a preview edition? A preview edition is an edition that is just between, which is in final beta. We think of it also as a release candidate. And it came out last week for anyone who had Alpha TransForm to test. But I'd like to go through it this week since we have yet another week before it becomes the live official version. And this is important because if you're currently using Alpha TransForm for production use, you're really going to want to try this out in the new version to make sure that there are no issues. If you do run into issues, by all means, contact us, tfservice at alphasoftware.com, and we will take a look at them before the release goes out to make sure that we don't break anything that's currently working for you. And in particular, you're going to want to take a look at your form designs just to make sure that they look okay. And if you have any TPL, very little has changed in the backend TPL system, but you may as well check that as well.
Hey, Dave, before you continue, do you want to share your screen?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, that's good. Fortunately, I wasn't showing anything really important except for this cool graphic that the PowerPoint made for me. Here we go, Spring 2020 Preview. All right, thanks very much, Sarah. So let's jump into, here are some useful links put together. The first one is probably the most useful of all. It's the documentation for this edition. And I think I've got that up here somewhere, one of my slides. Yeah. And this is the link that you should have received in an email last week announcing the new edition. And it goes through everything, including how to get a copy of the beta test edition for yourself to play with, as well as what the new features are and how to go about testing. So I'm going to actually go ahead and show you part of this in a live preview so that you will know exactly what you need to do to get this up and running. Now, I'd also like to point out that these updates to TransForm apply not just to the mobile application, but also to the API and TransForm Central as well. And back here in that link section I just showed you a moment ago, it shows you the URLs for the API as well as for the TransForm Central one as well. So I'm going to grab these links. I'm going to go ahead and paste them into the chat window, but you'll also find all of them in that first documentation link. And they're there in the chat window for you. So let's take a look. I'm going to go open up my phone, which is currently running the old version of TransForm, and I'm going to show you how to get to the new version of TransForm. So let me go into screen mirroring, and away we go. All right, so this is, you're familiar, I'm sure, with this. This is regular TransForm. What we're going to do now instead is we're going to switch over to the newest version. And to do that, I'm going to click up here on this hamburger menu, and I'm going to choose Help from the Help System. Now, once I'm in here, I'm going to tap up here where it says Show Table of Contents, which organizes the help system into a table of contents format. And we're going to scroll down to Tools for Support, which is right here. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And as you scroll down, you're going to see a couple of buttons. Now, these buttons have been dimmed out, making you think that you can't click on them, but in fact, you can click on them. I think it's really just to warn away not regular users. But folks on this call, I know, are not regular users. You guys are our group here. We'd like to test things out. So we're going to press the test button, which I've just done, and I'm going to go back. And I don't recall if I have to log out, but I'm pretty sure I have to both log out and also close TransForm, which I just did. So I'm going to go back into TransForm, and I'm going to log in. Yes, I know you can see my password. And we're going to log in here, and you'll see all of a sudden At the bottom, there's a message telling you that you've updated to the newer version. That's sort of a key. But the other key is you could tell it's a whole new look, a much lighter and cleaner look than we had here before. Now, right here, I'm going to go ahead and I could just tap on one of my accounts. And it's going to update any on-device data if necessary and pull down the new form definitions, just like the last version. And you'll see this is a whole new sort of cleaner look. And we've changed some of the things that used to confuse people. For example, adding a blank form is now plus and is clearly labeled here as well. But one thing we've done in the filler, which is I think particularly cool, is we now have the notion of a demo account or a demo mode. So that's just a mode in which you try out TransForm without even having an account yet with TransForm. So I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to log out. It should bring me back to the login screen. And now if you look here at the bottom, it says try a demo account. So that's brand new for this version. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And it tells me a little bit of information, telling me I have to be connected to the internet and a couple other things. As you know, TransForm is an offline capable application, but for demo mode, you do need to be connected online. So now as you show up here, we have a new Welcome to TransForm form. And if you tap on it, it takes you through all the different types of fields and controls and the advanced data types that are available in TransForm, allowing you to play with each of these. I'm pretty sure most of you have seen all of these features. These were features that were in the last version, but this is just a new way that you can go and play with things. And it will actually give you information with these little question mark buttons next to each one of the fields, showing you the things that you can do with those types of controls. All right, so that's the new look, but there are more than that when it comes to features. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to close mirroring here for a minute, and we will come back. And let's take a look at what the top features are, and then we're going to take a look through the documentation. So the new look is the thing I already talked about, and the fact that it has this demo mode is actually not here on the list, but that is a new feature as well. But some of the key features, the ones that people have really been asking for, are the ability to do email and SMS notifications when a worker in the field has been assigned a new form. Another feature that we have is bulk dispatch. This is the ability for you to download a template Excel spreadsheet, fill in that spreadsheet with lots and lots of records if you wish, and then upload it back into TransForm and have it automatically dispatch the correct records to the correct workers. And this works both by using the user interface or graphical user interface in TransForm Central, but it can also be done using an API call, which is a very powerful way of doing it as well. Next, we also have some more sample applications, and the way we handle sample applications is different. We've now categorized them in the software, and I'll show you how that works as well. And we have new forms of custom sorting sorting is a sorting default sort. And actually, there's a certain amount of filtering that I believe you can do as well in the mobile application, so that if you have an awful lot of forms that have been assigned to you, you can go through and put them into some sort of order that makes sense. All right, so let's jump back here and take a look at the new TransForm Central. I'll show you where we can find a couple of those features. So back in here, oh, I got Alpha TransForm open already. And if you take a look, here I am in the transformbeta.cloud.alphasoftware.com account. So this is the new version. It looks a lot like the old one, but when we go back to TransForm, you'll see, when I go back home, sorry, you'll see that there are a couple new options that we didn't have before. One was the dispatch option, and let me show you how that one works. The dispatch option allows you to select a field from the form for the list of forms that you've already designed. And here I'm going to choose, let's choose a complicated one. I think equipment inspection is nice and complicated because it has multiple one-to-many relationships in it. And here I'm going to go ahead and download this as an example template. So I'm just going to tap that download Excel tablet and click the link that's generated. And in here, you'll find a spreadsheet. Now I've already downloaded this spreadsheet. I think I have it open. Oh, maybe I don't. Let me tap on it here. It should open up. There we go. Okay, so this is probably pretty small. I don't know if I can, am I looking at it in preview? I am. Let me see if I can blow this up a bit for you. Maybe I can't. Well, anyway, let me just read you the fields that go across, and you'll get a sense for what you're looking at here. So things like username and site code and site building name, address, city, state, those are all fields that I put into my form. So if you had created a form and downloaded this template, you would see your fields there as well. Now there's some other fields that are included as well. Think of them as system fields, such as due date and comments and status, and a few of the others, which are located here. And you'll notice that they start with an ampersand pound symbol or hashtag in front of each one of those names. And I'm going to show you where you can actually figure out what those fields are and what the other fields are a little bit later on in the documentation. Now, because the kind of form that I had multiple one-to-many relationships, or what we call data groups, besides this main worksheet here, I have two others that are meant for entering in information into the data groups. And so, for example, this equipment inspection allowed me to inspect multiple pieces of equipment on a single form. So here I could enter in multiple serial numbers for each one of the pieces of equipment and so on. Now, I'm not going to go through exactly how all of this works. I may do that in another session if you'd like me to. But what you can do, if you're interested, is there is documentation right now, right here, which shows you how to fill out that template. And it goes really into a great deal of detail as to all those fields I was telling you about, how to do those data groups. This is dispatching forms and data groups. Remember, those are the repeating one-to-manys. And also your ability to now do notifications. I only mentioned that briefly a moment ago, but let's go into that now. So in other words, you could say, hey, when I upload all of these and I send out a bulk dispatch, I would like to let everyone know that they have new forms available. And I'd like to let them know using the method that they would prefer. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you. So back here into our list of top features, we now allow for email and SMS notifications. And if I go back into TransForm Central, should be able to Alt-Tab there, you'll see I have two new sections here. One is Preferences under My Information, and one is Change Preferences under Account Settings. Let's talk about the one under My Information first. So Change Preferences, My Information, is basically asking you as the end user, when you receive a form, how would you like to be notified about it? So the first thing is, do you want to be notified by it at all? And if the answer is no, you can leave this slide switch switched off. But let's say you do. So we're going to click on, and here you could choose to receive notifications via email. And if you'd like to receive them that way, you just click that on. Now, you don't have to enter in your email address because as a user of the system, it already knows your email address, and that's the email it's going to send it to. On the other hand, if you say you'd like to have it sent to you by text message, also known as SMS, if you turn that on, you'll need to enter in your mobile phone number. And you can start that with a country code. So for the United States and Canada, that's +1, whatever your country is. If it's Germany, it's 49. I think it's 44 for the UK. You'll just enter that in, and it will send out an SMS message whenever a new form is dispatched to your account. So this is a brand new feature, very powerful one. I think that you're going to get a lot of use out of. So how do you set this up to make it work in the first place? Well, over here in Account Settings, we have a couple of different ways that you can send out emails and SMS notifications. For SMS, we're using the Twilio service. And what you need to do is get an account from Twilio. It's not terribly expensive. When you get it, you'll be assigned a Twilio account, SID, authorization code, and a phone number that's associated with that account. And that's the phone number that'll appear in the SMS message so that people know who to send it back to. The SMS template is basically just that little piece of text that appears before when the message goes out, and you have the ability to change that as well. Now, if you want to send an email instead, we have two services. So with SMS, it was just the Twilio service, but with email, you can use either SparkPost or SendGrid. And you can sign up to either one of those services, enter in their API key. And again, it's very similar. You're saying, from whom are you sending it? You can put in a subject. And this one here, email message, actually lets you put in some metadata. So that metadata.form ID, as well as some other information, it can actually pull information from the form and place it right into the email so you can know what you're looking at. For example, you have a service call at 123 Newton Street, at 1 p.m. or something like that might be part of the email message template. So that is that new feature for SMS messaging. And so let's pop back down to our features list and see what else we've got. Okay, so let's take a look at the sample applications next, and that is in TransForm Central. So let's pop back here, and we're going to go over to the designer. And so I'm sure you're familiar with creating new form types right here in the designer. You click the plus button, and in the past, just like now, you had the ability to add a blank form type, I should say. Or you could copy a selected form type. I would have had to have clicked on one of the form types here for that option to have been enabled. But let's say I wanted to make a duplicate of the equipment inspection form. I would have clicked on that and clicked copy selected. But here we've got this other one, select template, and this is what is new in this version. So what we've done in this version, and we're planning on making it even a little nicer with graphics and stuff, is as our list of apps have grown, we've started to break them out by category. So you can now choose any one of these. There's some in manufacturing, construction, healthcare, business, and a whole bunch of others, as well as just a straight list at the end. But as this list gets longer and longer, they're going to show up here as well. Our plan is also in the future to do little screenshots and give you a little write-up as to what each one of these are, so you don't have to click on it and play around with it for yourself. But for now, this is where they are. Just want to let you know that. Okay, I think I've covered almost everything I want to in the 20 minutes that we have. So you got email and SMS notifications we've done. We've done bulk dispatch, new look, more sample applications. Oh, custom sorting and the default sort. I'm not going to show you that to you live. Let me show that to you though in the documentation, because Sarah has done a terrific job of outlining everything that is in this preview edition. So here we go. Let me scroll down to that. Custom sorting and grouping, you'll find here in the documentation. You can now add additional options that we did not have before. For example, you can sort by date, which is a very popular way of sorting things. You know what's due next. You can have it sorted by status. You can have the ones that you've already closed appear at the bottom of the list, and so on. And here we give you examples of how to do that. The other thing I would like to show you, or actually the last thing I think I want to show you here in this documentation, let's scroll to the end. Keep going. Now, this is a minor thing, but a big deal out on the road. If you're using your phone and you've lost your password in the past, you may recall that in order to reset your password or get a new one, you had to do that using the TransForm Central web app, which meant that you had to log in basically with a notebook computer or a desktop computer. We fixed that little, I call it a snafu. I think that's something we should have had to begin with, but we've put that in as an option right now in the mobile application. So you're able to now change your password and get new password right from within the application itself if you need to do that. And now the last thing I want to show you was a list, which I think a lot of you, especially the more technical of you, are going to find very useful. We've created a new appendix of all of the metadata fields. So when you get back all of those fields, and you saw some of them in that spreadsheet that I showed you about 5 minutes ago when we were doing the import, here we'll actually tell you what do all those fields mean, what's in them, how to set them. And we've also shown you a new on-device policy section as well. If you remember, the on-device assets policy does a couple things. One is it prompts you to download, or prompts the application to download on-device assets. So think like video instructions or instruction manuals or how-to videos or things like that, or a SQLite database to do lookups against. So that shows you how to do that here. And now we're allowed to now do some more filtering, grouping, and a few other things. This is covered in much more detail in our documentation. So you want to take a look at that first link that I put in the chat window, or in the link that I sent to you via email. And that's about it. So I would like to encourage everyone to go get the Spring 2020 Preview Edition. By going into the Help menu, going into the table of contents, setting it into the test mode, and trying it. Now, keep in mind, we also have a test database that's been set up, so you don't have to worry about breaking your current data. So it's a real sandbox environment. And let me just show you the quick way of actually resetting yourself back to normal when you are done. So here I am back in the TransForm application, and I'm going to go to back. I may need to be logged in for this one. I may not though. Show table of contents. Again, I went to the help system. I said show table of contents. I chose tools for support, and I'm going to put it back into production. When that's done, I'm going to close the app, open the app again, and you can see while I'm still in demo mode, I have the old look showing me that I'm back to version 5.4.2. There we go. So that's it. I haven't yet looked through the questions, but do we have any questions? Oh, it looks like there are a whole bunch. So let's start. Okay. So someone asked, what is the difference? Okay, let me go ahead and stop sharing my phone because we don't really need it right now. I think. Okay, so someone said, look, I am new to Alpha Anywhere, and I'm even newer to Alpha Transform, but can you describe basically what's briefly the differences between those two pieces of software? So Alpha Anywhere is a low-code system for building both mobile and desktop web applications. It has a server component that runs, and you can do server-side programming in it, either using a standard .NET programming language, or you can also use, soon you can use Python, you can also use Node.js, and you can use XBasic, which is our own programming language, which has been developed over the last 20 years. The Alpha Anywhere product is a much more broad product. It takes a little bit longer to learn, in fact, a lot bit longer to learn, but it lets you do many more things that you would otherwise not be able to do in Alpha Transform. For one thing you could do in Alpha Anywhere is we wrote the actual Alpha Transform itself has been created using Alpha Anywhere. So think of Transform as an application that's ready to go. It's already in the App Store. It just needs to be configured, but it's got a fairly limited backend. So if you use Alpha Transform with Alpha Anywhere, you can build out that backend to get exactly what you want, and you don't have to worry about building your own mobile applications, getting them up into the store, testing them on different versions and so on, because Alpha Transform is pre-tested and ready to work. If you'd like some more details about that or have specific questions, by all means, send an email to tfservice@alphasoftware.com. I'll be happy to get back to you. Okay. The question is, oh, fields in the spreadsheets have underscores. Yes, that is the format. Can the admin bulk update provide notifications for users? Yes, although I think you probably asked that question before I showed you that it could. So yes, if you're doing bulk update, it can automatically notify users that they have new forms waiting for them. And let's see, sorting by date, ascending or descending be added at some point. We will take a look at that. I think that might be in the current version, but I will give that a shot. And again, TF service. Hello, Sarah, are you there?
I am here.
Oh, I heard you breaking in. Do you have something else that you'd like to add?
No, I was just going to confirm that, yeah, you can do date ascending and date descending with using the new sorting and grouping functionality
Fantastic.
that you showed at the end there.
And as they pointed out, they had requested that previously, so we did listen to you, and it is. Wonderful. Well, hey, thank you everyone for attending today. If there are no further questions and you think of one afterwards, go ahead and send it to tfservice@alphasoftware.com. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you very much, Sarah, for being here and for putting together those excellent release notes and documentation for the spring 2020 preview edition of TransForm. See you next Tuesday. Take care and goodbye.